Hello everybody, you've joined me for Chapter 17, where we formally begin the offensive against Hardin. Between us is Gra, a country that was once united with Altea, but separated after a political dispute. In Shadow Dragon they allied with the enemy and were chiefly responsible for sacking Altea Castle. Now, heavily under Arcanea's influence, they have mobilized against us. The gimmick of this map is that mixed among the elite Arcanea troops are demotivated, fresh new Gra recruits, who are level 1 with terrible stats. They don't move or attack, and the recruitment of Sheena and Samson are conditional on their survival. You know, people say Astram has bad stats, but he fights the enemies on this map no problem, so I don't know what they're talking about. There are some villages for Marth to visit near the top, and a thief near the bottom, holding the third and final Nosferatu book that'll quickly make his retreat. The first order of business is to deal with these aggressive Draconites. I may have an army filled with capable combat units now, but they're just as dangerous as back in Chapter 2, because they're tough to take out and can target Fina and Marth easily with their superior movement. Thankfully, one of them carries a spear, which means I can place Sida, who has been a sniper for pretty much 6 chapters straight at this point, on the edge of their range, and they will suicide into her in enemy phase. The rest draw closer, and on turn 2 I fight back, killing the Dracos with Sida, Lind, who have reclassed the Swordmaster, Zane, Luke, and Merrick. I sent Katria on a stealth mission to recover the Nosferatu, but by pushing her so far she's triggered enemy reinforcements. The upper ones are no problem, but this means Katria now has to fight 2 Draconites and a sniper by herself. Oh, don't worry, she had the Iode shield. Meanwhile, she crit kills the thief, who would have otherwise escaped this turn, which is completely skilled and not lucky whatsoever. While she fights for survival, Marth recruits Tomas, who donates his silver bow. How kind. That'll make for a nice present for Sida. The reason why these guys are here, by the way, Golf, Masalan, and Tomas, despite being Arcanean citizens, is that they've taken the blue pill and see Hardin for the big bad he really is. Which is, you know, not a very interesting reason, but a good one nonetheless. I can't take that away from them. With physics support from Merrick, Katria is able to make it out of her skirmish alive. The other enemies on the map are very spread out and don't move automatically, so it's a simple matter to go around and clean up kills before approaching the throne room. Sheena and Samson await and can be recruited if no Grass soldiers died. What's funny is that in this game, if you recruit Sheena and then attack a Grass soldier afterward, she'll defect back to a red unit, so you can do some funny things by giving her, for instance, the Star Sphere and then have her be an enemy again, so you lose that item permanently. Small correction, she does drop important items when she dies. But now we have to fight Sheena in her ascended form. I have Marth recruit Sheena, who recruits Samson, who are both wholly unremarkable units. Before seizing. At the end of the map, Sheena overtakes Chris as Marth's #1 simp by donating her entire country to him, and I'm joined by Frost, who is noteworthy for being the single least popular Fire Emblem character of all time. Moving right along, Marth leaves Gra for Arcanea, but along the way is ambushed by the Knights of Aurelis, a country to the north and Hardin's homeland. These elite soldiers are nicknamed the Wolf Guard, and some of them fought alongside Marth in the previous war. Just the ones with faces I think you'll find, not the generics. A ton of mounted units start to the north of my army, alongside a contingent of generals and Draconite toward the right, and a few more mounts near the village on the left. In other words, we're surrounded in 3 directions by lots of bad guys. In the opening cutscene, the Wolf Guard is seen berating Roche for spewing vile, Altean propaganda, suggesting Marth isn't such an evil guy and maybe they just got it all wrong. For which the others tell him to shut the fuck up, which is clearly a reference to Scarf's hit video, Hardin and the Wolf Guard start a podcast. So, Intelligent Systems, I see you. I can tell you're a big fan of my work.
Shut the fuck up!
I have a plan to deal with this map state, which begins with me quitting being such a tryhard and turning back on combat animations. That part is really important. Next, I unequip Katria and Chris and use them as moving light runes to block off the Wolf Guard from reaching my team. The wimpy named enemies, like Wolf, move first to block crucial tiles so the real hard hitters don't have a chance to attack. With the rest, I wait, and then on turn 2, I dance Marth so he has enough move to reach the village to speak with King Aurelis. Bro really is just called King Aurelis, by the way. He's also the older brother of Hardin, which I find incredibly hard to believe. He looks old enough to be his grandfather. Anyway, the fraud king guy apparently has with him the life sphere. The 4th gemstone, which restores 20 HP at the start of every turn, and he uses his authority to force the Wolfguard to retreat. Now all that remain are their enemies on the far right, and the fight to take them out will be my most intense yet. I line up everyone outside of their range and lure them in with Chris, who kills one with a crit. When player phase comes, it's a now or never. I have to take out as many of these enemies as I can, or I risk death, or worse, a game over. First, Marth takes out the Armor Slayer from the convoy and takes the Star Sphere for enough speed to finish off this weakened general. Merrick takes Marth's Star Sphere and Thoron blasts another general. He doesn't need it, but by passing it to Pallas she can now double a Draconite and score another kill. Chris and Transformed Chris bonk some generals, while Ketria flies over and with an Anuius can take out both Ballista, whose 10 range is too threatening to be left alone. Merrick is danced for and completely nuclear bomb atomizes a flyer with an Excalibur crit, dealing 174 points of damage. All that's left is for Cedar to headshot one more Wyvern and place Lind far up with Nosferatu equipped to bait out the remaining generals I couldn't kill. Since Lind is made of paper, the enemies will prioritize her, which keeps everybody else safe. Well, that was a lot. Even though I have so many powerful promoted fighters, I still needed every deployment slot to put in work there. Well, besides Sirius, who didn't do anything. He cleans up the remaining general though, because he's not that much of a slacker. I killed the defenseless healers and the generic general boss before seizing the throne.